Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we're speaking with Megan Ayrault. We had a little talk about her name. How to pronounce it.
A lot of extra letters.
Looks nothing like what it looks like. So she is a nutritional therapy practitioner, and she's going to tell us all about what that looks like and how she's doing. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you decided to join us. So tell us about you. How'd you get started? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, so yes, I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and health coach. I also got started in the health world as a body worker. So actually beginning with horses, and then I got licensed for human massage and dog massage, and been doing that for over 20 years. Love that. And then I guess I got into perimenopause and started discovering, even though I mostly led what I thought was a very healthy lifestyle, I started to discover things go in the wrong direction. Weight, thyroid, cholesterol, those may be at the top of the list. Some menopause symptoms, perimenopause symptoms. So I got into studying nutrition starting maybe about 5 years ago, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Got certified as a health coach and then as a nutritional therapy practitioner. More recently, I did training as, so I'm now certified as a functional blood chemistry specialist.
That's really interesting.
It's very interesting. Studying now hair tissue mineral analysis. So just any ways that I can bring in various tools to support my clients. And my specialty within this sort of health/nutrition field is metabolic health, because that really is at the root of so many issues, including all of my issues, including the menopause symptoms, hormonal imbalances, thyroid, certainly cardiovascular, cholesterol related, all of that. It's really metabolic health at the root. So that's my passion at this point.
That's really exciting. It's interesting that you're getting into the blood and hair and mineral analysis aspect of it, because it's really hard to find places where you can go and actually have that information available to you. I know when I've gone to get blood work done and it comes back, but it's not really the kind of blood work that would help you as far as understanding your nutritional deficits.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of it is a lot of the usual blood work that people do get from their doctors. I can actually get a lot of nutritional clues from that also. But one big difference, among others, is that when you get, a blood lab report from your doctor, and when I order them for clients, which I can do now, I can get the same report according to the lab report, but those are only flagging things if they're out of range for diagnostic purposes of disease or significant issues, right?
And it's based on an average of what's normal.
Exactly, that too.
Among the testing realm.
Yeah.
So if it's
And our
normal
population
for
is
everybody
not,
to be
yeah,
really
yeah.
unhealthy, then you're
Mm-hmm.
just in the unhealthy normal range.
Right, exactly. That's a really important point. And so my training is looking at narrower ranges within those lab ranges. What is optimal for this marker or that marker? And what are the various things that could be going on that might raise it above optimal or lower it below optimal? And then looking at the whole picture, including, what the client is experiencing, their symptoms and all of that, but looking at the whole picture to see what the patterns are so you can narrow down on how, what might be done nutritionally or, other aspects too related to stress and things like that, infection, immune function, um, can all give a lot of information that does not come across in normal medical training. I mean, that the doctors aren't trained to look at it in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And even if they do look at it, they're looking at it in terms of, this is the normal within the sick
Yeah.
population.
Right.
And they're giving you information that's the best that they can do in a lot of
Right.
cases, but because they simply don't know.
Right.
So what kinds of things do you help people with? I mean,
Yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Well, so within the realm of metabolic health,
mhm,
it includes things like, blood pressure. I have a client right now who came to me. I was so gratified that she came to me because her doctor was starting to talk about putting her on blood pressure medication.
medication.
So that's a really wonderful opportunity if I can work with somebody before they start on something like cholesterol medication or even acid reflux, blood pressure, those medications, to be able to work with somebody first and help them avoid it is awesome. If you're already on medication, it's never too late. So that's not to be discouraging that way, but blood pressure, cholesterol, weight loss, energy, just, being fatigued and, brain fog, because metabolic health relates to brain function too, heart health, uh, gut issues, digestion issues with the gut microbiome, and among other things, gallbladder function. Um, yeah, a whole range.
It's all related.
And blood sugar regulation
Mhm.
often being an issue, but interestingly, I mean, blood sugar regulation can be one of the well, no, I won't say one of the last, but you might appear to be doing fine according to your doctor with your blood sugar, but for years before that, you're gradually becoming more and more insulin resistant.
Mhm.
And by far the majority of US adults are insulin resistant to some degree. Even if your blood sugar is still normal, it's taking more and more and more and more insulin to control that blood sugar. And the high insulin levels actually cause a lot of health damage. Anyway, that's.
Yeah, and it's directly related to the quality of food, and I use that term loosely in our
There's
in
food and there's fake food.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
chemicals that are being paraded as food
Exactly.
options.
Yeah.
But even a lot of the things that are purported to be food have been, when the big fat, avoid fat propaganda thing
Fiasco.
was going on.
Yeah,
um,
very sad.
totally not based on science,
No.
or poor science, let's put it that way.
Yes, poor science. Yes. Yeah. Do not be afraid of fat. Just be afraid of the wrong fats. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're not, the wrong fats aren't actually food, they're
Right.
poisons.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Highly
canola oil, I think
processed.
it's canola oil that's actually rapeseed oil, and rapeseed is a poison.
Yeah. Well, and for various reasons, all the vegetable oils really, I mean, that not avocado oil, not olive oil. Those are good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Some other plant oils, coconut oil, animal fats, they're good. But the sort of artificially created, man-made, highly processed seed oils, like including canola, there's various degrees of quality of canola oil. Some is better than others, but overall the seed oils tend to be quite inflammatory. And they're giving us way too many omega-6 fatty acids. And even though we need those, we're getting like 10 times, 20 times the amount that we should have. And it creates inflammation in the body, out of balance.
And my favorite, the plastics that everybody likes to use in Crisco.
Yeah, all kinds of toxins in our environment that really stresses our livers and our whole all of our detox pathways, and they need a lot of support to be able just to live in our world today.
They do. How would working with you look? Like, what would you normally do with your clients?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So there's a couple options, mainly basically private coaching, which could be, I work with people either from 3 months to a year, depending on kind of how much they want to prioritize their investment in their health, and of course, how significant their health challenges are. But I generally work with people for at least 3 months if it's private, and because you need some time to. I can't just dump everything on you all at once and expect you to just go on your way and be fine.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of assessment process involved, and then ideally time to assess and then make some changes and then reassess and see how things are going. So that's how, in a nutshell, how I kind of work with people privately. And it's all on Zoom. So far, basically all of my coaching is on Zoom, sometimes by phone. I like to do Zoom because we can see each other. And then I have run a group program a couple of times that I really enjoyed, and that one is sort of available on hold, but I am very excited. I'm going to be coming up soon here, starting a new group program. So that will be an option for people to do a group program. And of course, they can be combined. What was that?
What would it be focused around, the group program?
Metabolic health. And because the things you do to improve your metabolic health, although of course there are individual differences, especially when you get into like things like supplements and things, but the general steps to improve metabolic health, it doesn't necessarily have a lot of variation, whether it is in you, whether it's maybe in one person it's expressing as cardiovascular health issues, and in another person it's coming out more as brain fog, and in another one it's coming out as gut dysbiosis, thyroid issues. Each of us, partly dependent on our genetics, we might express our poor metabolic health in different ways, have different sort of weak links that we're most susceptible to, but you still can address any of and all of those things by getting to the root of the metabolic health. Again, so the group program will get into certainly diet, nutrition. There will be some on supplementation, but that takes maybe a little more assessment and individual coaching to really, but some supplements are general, that can be beneficial. It'll get into gut health, digestive issues, and gut microbiome, and that. Certainly blood sugar regulation is going to be a big one. And just things that focus on, really, when you get down to the core of it, on the health of the cells and the mitochondria within the cells that are the energy producers. So the group program will be including all of that. The group program will also, I will be going into more depth with fasting. I have coming up soon a online workshop on fasting, because as I tell my audience, what you put into your body with the nutrition and the hydration is one side of the coin, but fasting is like the other side of the coin. I mean, it's like winter and summer. You have to have both to have a healthy cycle, right? You can't just be in summer and growing all the time without running into problems. You need the rest. You need your body switching back and forth between time for healing, which is really during the fasting phase, is when your body is doing cleanup and healing processes, and then the feeding phase, and they need to be alternated. And there's lots of different strategies of how you can do fasting to suit somebody's where they are starting from and where they want to go, and lots of ways to get your body ready for fasting so that it is actually a positive experience and not torture. And fasting can be as little as 12 hours overnight. I mean, for some people, that's longer than they usually go. And that is a first step towards much better health. So it doesn't have to be talking about extreme fasting, although you can get, I'll be talking about sort of a range. Yeah.
I do. I'm tracking right along with you. I'm just sitting here shaking my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not really a good idea to just go from 0 to 60 when you're not used to fasting either, because it takes a little bit of time for your body to adapt to the idea that we're not putting a bunch of carbs in there right now.
Yeah.
And
because if you start too soon and you are very metabolically inflexible, which again relates to those high insulin levels I was mentioning before, your body won't access the fat on your body. And we all, even if you don't need to lose weight, you still have fat on your body. And that's what you're supposed to be accessing for fuel when you're fasting. And when you're metabolically inflexible, you are at a disadvantage. It's not necessarily that you can't access any, but you can't access it well enough or fast enough to fuel yourself happily. So first you got to work on the metabolic flexibility.
Yeah, being able to get into and out of ketosis.
Yes.
And it's the first time you do it, it takes a minute, and you need to work up to it with, diet changes well before you decide you're going to. I only know this because I used to try.
Yeah. And same with similar, I mean, a lot of overlap here, but same with if you want to do a detox, you really want to make sure you've done the prep work first so that your body is actually ready to handle the detox process, and that you're not just stirring up a bunch of toxins and having them reabsorbed and get stuck again because your body's not actually eliminating them very well. So this similar idea.
End up sick. And back to square one. So when people join your group program, they would all start at the same time, I would imagine.
At this point, I'd have so this is going to be a new group. So excited about it. I have a lot of ideas about it. It's going to start in August.
Okay.
So at this point, there will be a group. Hopefully some people will come along with me for the journey. And it'll be August through January for a 6-month program. And then I am hoping, depending on how people find it, whether they're having a positive experience and giving me good feedback and participating, then I do hope that it can become an ongoing group where people can join us more on a rolling basis. Whether or not they'll be able to join just any time or maybe once every few months or something like that, I'm not sure, but it'll be I'm still figuring it out. So
I totally hear you.
If anybody wants to get on my email list, then they will be the first to hear about the beginning of the group program and any updates with it.
That sounds fantastic. So what do you think is the most important thing that people need to take away from this conversation?
Oh, yes. Well, so a lot of times when people ask me what I do, I say I work with women, and I can work with men also, but most of my clients are women. And work with women running into midlife health issues, basically, because metabolic health, and most people don't know what metabolic health necessarily means.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've heard of metabolism, but what is really metabolic health is just so much. So midlife health issues. So one of the things I am very much on a mission of educating people about, and I do offer a lot of free education on my website too. If somebody doesn't think they're going to want coaching, that's totally fine. I hope you'll still join me and get the free stuff. Because what I would love people to take away from this is that metabolic health is for, again, by far the majority. I mean, we're talking like 93% of the adults in the United States do not have optimal metabolic health. And many of us are very far from optimal. And it's not, it stays hidden for a long time if you don't know what to look for. So that's one of the first things that people get when they come and join me on my website is insights about how to assess their metabolic health and what to watch for. Because you can detect it years and years and years before you get a diagnosis like, you know, diabetes or heart cardiovascular disease or anything like that. And it's very turnaroundable with natural options, you know, without medications, changing what you eat, what you don't eat, how you handle stress, you know, sleep, all of that. So I want people to take away that metabolic health is an epidemic and they're probably being affected by it. And there are lots of wonderful ways that you can improve it naturally. And your doctor is not likely to alert you to it until years into the process.
Because they really only can diagnose something when it's acute. If you're starting to just go to the doctor because you're not feeling right, you'll never get an answer.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you get an answer or a label if something's really wrong.
I had a client just recently. We did blood work for her. Her HbA1c, if people are familiar with that, it's your average blood sugar, basically. It's a reflection of your average blood sugar over the last few months. She's pre-diabetic. And I looked back at some old labs that she sent me from a year ago before we just started working together a couple months ago. She was pre-diabetic, even a point higher a year ago. Wasn't flagged. No, she didn't know. Anyway, yeah, it's sad and a little frustrating.
It's in the parameters. It's in the parameters of normal for some people.
Yeah.
And you know, you're doing better than most of the people out there because you're only pre-diabetic. Which is just to say that you're not going to become a full-blown diabetic for maybe another 5-10 years.
Right.
But by then you could be like totally blown out your pancreas. Because that
a lot of damage to blood vessels and all kinds of things that are happening in the meantime.
Nerve damage, kidney
catch it
damage.
as early as you can, and it's never too late. You can improve things even if a lot of damage has been done. Some of it you can reverse, some of it you might not be able to totally reverse, but you can definitely much improve the overall picture.
My father-in-law, I'll tell you this quick story. He was diagnosed with congestive heart failure maybe 15 years ago now. It's been a long time. And at the time they told him, you have about 2, maybe 3 years to live. But my father-in-law, being the stubborn old man that he is, he's like, oh no, and I'm not taking any of your garbage either. You have to argue with him to get him to take any kind of pharmaceutical drug. And so he set out on a mission, and he's still around and
that's wonderful,
kicking. And it was strictly from, you know, doing the things that you need to do to fix your metabolic health in order to repair your organs that, you know, become diseased from the decisions that we make.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, again, going back to the beginning, as a body worker for over 20 years now, I just fell so in love with how amazing the body is. The body is an amazing healing machine. It as long as we can stop harming it,
Right.
And give it, when it needs a little extra support, give it that support. It's whether it's about body work or it's about nutrition. I mean, they're both. It's about stimulating natural healing responses. They're awesome.
It is amazing what our bodies can do. And if we just put a little bit of care into what we're doing with them, and recognize that, sometimes you do need to depend on other interventions if it's something critical, and
absolutely
do what's required to get you out of the catastrophe state. But once you're stabilized, you can make changes, and you can do things that can totally reverse a lot of the damage that was done. Unless you have organs removed, and then that's kind of
hard to reverse that.
Maybe not impossible.
Maybe not
I've heard
impossible.
Stories.
Yeah. So have I. Yeah, there's some pretty wild stories out there, that's for sure. The body, never underestimate the body.
Yeah, you just never know. It's so many really kind of miraculous things have happened in the world. And
speaking of which, one of the recent things that I've learned about fasting, because I've been learning about fasting for a while, and this was one of the things that kind of sparked my, I got to do a workshop on this, so I'm going to do that soon. One of the benefits of fasting, and there are many, you can increase the production of stem cells for healing through fasting strategies. Speaking of regenerating. Yeah.
It's the fasting is one of those things that I think, I'm pretty sure, Jason Fung is the man behind, everybody's heard of him when it comes to fasting.
He's definitely a big one.
But he's all about it. He was trying to help people get over, diabetes, the thing that can't be cured. But, a lot of people have reversed it that I've known personally. I mean, I'm not saying that as a medical statement, but just
right.
Anecdotally.
Well, when you listen to Jason Fung, he's reversed it and quickly. It doesn't have to take a long time. One thing I've realized is, you can reverse and undo and turn around a lot of things, especially related to high insulin levels, quickly if you implement the right changes, and especially maybe incorporate some fasting can be very helpful. I think it does take longer to truly heal the insulin sensitivity. So that when you do eat carbs, for example, your body does handle them better, right? So there's two different levels. Anyway, you can turn things around though very, very quickly.
Yeah, and at some point you just have to realize that maybe you've eaten all the carbs you need to eat.
Yeah.
When you reach a certain age, potato chips and candy bars just aren't your friends anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely
Not that
true.
they ever
And
were,
it's very individual. How low carb do you need to go? How long do you need to stay low carb? How many days a month do you need to be low carb? It's very individual. Yeah.
It really is, and different people's bodies adapt to other things, and we're so poorly educated on the macros that people are like, well, I'm going to be a vegetarian, so I'm never eating protein again. It's like, well,
sad.
Yeah. Eating potato chips might make you vegetarian, but it's really not making you anything. It's just killing you.
Yeah. So. Protein's very important.
It is. You can get protein in vegetables, though. I mean, I'm not going to say that you can't. You can't be a vegetarian and get protein, because that's not true either. But a lot of the people that I've met in my life that said they were vegetarians were really just junketarians. They ate chemicals that weren't really food.
Yeah. And even if you're doing it right, there's a big difference between vegetarian and vegan. I think vegetarians can absolutely be quite healthy as long as they're incorporating some, things like eggs, hopefully some seafood, but I know some do or don't do that. But at least some eggs or dairy or something. I think without some animal input, we did evolve as omnivores. We are omnivores. We are not herbivores. And while a vegan diet can turn around health issues also in the short term, it's largely because you're getting away. Depending on how it's done, it might be because you're getting away from the processed foods and all the damage, but you're going to have to be very careful about how you do it, and you're going to need to supplement for long-term health because a vegan diet does not give the human body everything that it needs for long term.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a little bit of everything camp, except for processed foods, because I don't really consider them food.
Exactly. Eat real food.
Yeah, eat real food. Plant a garden.
Yeah.
Support your local farmers. Thanks so much for joining us. People can get a hold of you on your website.
Yes, the website is wellnesswisdomforwomen.com. You can email me, Megan at wellnesswisdomforwomen.com. And I do have a free Facebook group also that's Boost Energy and Metabolism. I think if you just search Boost Energy and Metabolism, you'll find it. Otherwise, just message me and I'll send you a link.
Perfect. And we'll put those links in the description below. Thanks for joining us today, Megan.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the You World Order Showcase program. I hope today's episode has inspired you to consider how you can leverage your unique skills and talents to be the change you want to see in the world. Be sure to subscribe to the daily episodes. Here are 3 ways I can help you in your coaching practice for free. 1, if you're a coach just starting out, you can head over to heartlifecoach.com/PTP invite. If you're an up-and-coming coach and would like to be featured on the podcast, please visit jointheyouworldorder.com. And finally, if you're feeling scattered and lack focus, I invite you to hop on a call with me to get some clarity, strategy, and resources to get your practice back on track to reach the most people without feeling salesy. You can find that link at heartlifecoach.com/EE. We will see you on the next podcast.